You need your history notebook. As you watch the video, complete the map in your notebook. Pay attention to the speaker because you'll be asked to place special symbols on the page to prove that you are watching it. The teacher will tell you where to place the symbols. If you do not have these symbols on your map, you will not receive credit for completion. You must watch the video and complete the tasks. All right, here we go. We're going to turn our notebook sideways for our mapping fluency. Remember, this is the best way for us to be able to review all year long. And let's start with the eye, the nose, and the chin. When we say eye, we are talking about always watching. And so, of course, that is going to be none other than England. England is going to be a part of the continent of Europe. And inside Europe, there are two countries that are nosy about what's going on. Sometimes they get involved, sometimes they don't. That is Spain and France. And the continent holding them up is going to be none other than the continent of Africa. All right here, let's stop. Go ahead. Give me a heart right inside England. If you could go ahead and give me a heart right inside there so that we can know that you are actually following along. Don't forget, we look for these special symbols for you to have to make sure that you are following along. So give me a heart right inside of England. So, 1492, Columbus sails the ocean blue. Where is he looking to go? He is looking to go to Asia. And when we talk about going, we're thinking of our purse, P-E-R-S. And what reason does he go for? He goes for economic reasons. Does he make it there? Well, we all know the answer is no. Instead, he lands in the New World. So we're going to go ahead and draw our New World. I hope by now some of our New Worlds are looking a lot better. There we go. Keep going, keep going. And we connect it right there. All right. The first thing that we are going to have to do is we're going to have to label our physical geography. And so when we said that in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue, he was going westward, and he is, of course, going over the Atlantic Ocean. And we're okay using abbreviations now because we have labeled it so often on our map. It's the new stuff that we have to write all the way out. All right. The first natural barrier that prevents westward expansion. Notice the words that I use because those are our star words. A natural barrier that prevents westward expansion is, of course, going to be the Appalachian Mountains. North of the Appalachian Mountains, all together, we have the Great Lakes. They were used for travel, trade, transportation. To help us remember the Great Lakes, we have the acronym of HOMES. Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, and Lake Superior. All right, eventually we do make it over the Appalachian Mountains, and this is America's highway. Lots of travel, trade, transportation also on this. It is none other than the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River is going to flow into the Gulf of Mexico. Flowing into the Mississippi River also, we've added this last time, is going to be right here, and this is none other than the Ohio River. All right, traveling further westward, we'll get later in the year to our westward expansion. We got these mountains right here, none other than the Rocky Mountains. Manifest destiny, sea to shining sea, is going to be the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. All right, so that is our physical geography. So we're going to move into our historical geography, being able to connect across the content. And of course, in our historical geography, the first unit is exploration. Our first group that comes in and explores is going to be none other than the Spanish. They go to the south, and they also go to the west right there. Their reason is going to be economic. Let's not forget that. They want to find that gold. Do they find it? Nope, they don't find it, but they do want to make money. They were also political, so there's our flag, and then religious. Do not forget what religion they are. They're going to be, what is it? Oh, it is Catholic. They are the Catholic religion right there. So let's stop right there. We already put a heart inside England. inside Texas, since it's so sunny out today, could you give me a little sun right there inside Texas? Give me just a little sun right inside there. It's a little sunny out today. Feels nice out. Let's give us a sun. All right, after the Spanish are the French, and we call them the friendly French fur traders. So we have economic, and then, of course, political. And then our third group, the group that we actually move into colonization with, is going to be none other than the English. They're going to come all right here, but remember, we're going to label inside here for our colony, so I'm going to put it on the outside. They are going to be economic, starting with Jamestown, religious for our Plymouth, political, and social, the people. All right, so that is my exploration. I'm now going to move on to colonization. My first permanent English colony is going to be Jamestown, Virginia, right about there. It's kind of in the center. And I'm going to give it an economic symbol. They go in search of gold. They don't find it. They almost all die, but they plant tobacco and that helps them survive. All right, our second group is going to be none other than Plymouth, and Plymouth is religious. It is with our Puritans right up there. And so as these two colonies thrive, we're going to see more people coming over, and we're going to see our mother country really looking at the colonies growing. And so we go from these two into 13 that can be divided into 3 regions. Of course, that top region where it is cold, the soil is rocky, so we're not going to find farming. They're going to be fishing, they're going to be shipbuilding, they're going to be lumbering. We're going to have the New England colonies, which we all know is religious. The religious group is going to be the Puritans, which right here, let's put a P right there. Give me a P right there so I can remember that it is the Puritans right there in New England. And to remember my New England colonies, I have a mnemonic phrase. My new hamster runs in cages. That gives me Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. All right, then we have our middle colonies, also known as the breadbasket colonies. We're going to go ahead. There is my economic symbol. I'm also going to add social because we remember that our Quakers are there. How do I remember my middle colonies? New York police need jelly donuts. So that gives us New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And then our southern colonies are economic also. That's where we have our cash crops. You see the plantation system developed in the southern colonies. They have good fertile soil. They get enough rain, and so you will also see the enslaved people being brought there. These southern colonies, my very nice cousin sends Christmas gifts. Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. There is one colony that is unique. It is going to be Maryland because it is also religious because the Catholics go to Maryland. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a cross. Our colonies are doing good. They are prospering. They are growing. Part of the reason they are able to prosper and grow are these port cities. And so up in the New England colonies, we have Boston, and so I'm going to give it a B and a triangle. Good port city, natural harbors that ships can come in and out of. In the middle colonies, it is New York City, so that's right there. And then in the southern colonies, it is going to be Charleston, which we get to talk later about when we talk about the Civil War. All right. Part of the reason the colonies are doing so good is they are participating in the triangular trade. Here we go. Coming out of the middle colonies are my raw materials, natural resources, cash crops, going to England and Europe where they're going to turn it into stuff. We call that stuff manufactured goods, guns, rum, any other goods. And then, of course, coming out of Africa are my enslaved people. Does this triangle go one way? No, it goes both ways that we see the trading. Who is making most of the money in this? It is none other than England and Europe, our mother country, because of the economic theory of mercantilism, my M&M, mercantilism. They're making the most money in England and Europe. So our colonies are doing good. They are prospering. They are growing. They need more land. Where are they going to look for more land at? They're going to look for it in the Ohio River Valley. And so that is going to result in our French and Indian War, where the British right here, the British colonists, are going to fight against the French, who are joined by many of the Native American tribes to fight for this land. And in the end, the British are going to win. They're going to look to move over until the king says, stop. He says, nope, you can't go. And he says that in the Proclamation of 1763. Remember, we say Appalachian Proclamation, Proclamation, Appalachian. That helps us remember where he says stop at. He says at the Appalachian Mountains. He says, nope, you can't move over. And now the colonists are upset. What do you mean we can't move on to the land we fought for? And then the king says, oh, by the way, I need you to pay money to pay off the debt that we got inside the war. So the colonists get even more upset. We're going to see many of these early events that lead us into the American Revolution in Boston. So we're going to put a little star right there because it's going to happen in Boston. The Boston Massacre and then the Boston Tea Party. Now the colonists are upset. The king is getting upset. He passes the Intolerable Acts. It eventually leads us in to the American Revolution. And so we remember our American Revolution and the events from that on our timeline, so we'll get to that later. But to finish up our American Revolution, to recognize that the king had said stop here, at the end of the revolution, the Americans are going to win, and their actual boundary, their westward boundary, is going to be at the Mississippi River. And so all of this is the new United States and the Treaty of Paris, 1783. So we now run from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River. And so the colonists now become Americans, and we have all this new land. We are excited to have this new land. And then we realize, you know what? We have these 13 states, and what do we do with this? And so they're going to set up a process for territories to become states in the Northwest Ordinance. So the Northwest Territory, right up here in this area between the Ohio River, the Appalachian Mountains, and the Mississippi River and our Great Lakes right there, we get the Northwest Territory because this is the northwest part of the United States. It sets up the process for territories to become states. They outlaw slavery there. You have to give freedom of religion. You have to have 60,000 people. If you meet all of the criteria, your new territory can apply to become a state, and this is where we get a lot of those Midwest states, a part of the United States, and we expand eventually from our 13 to what we have today.